I am the most hated guy on Raptors Twitter, apparently, and this is reacting to the top 10 richest NBA players ever. So Michael Jordan is so friggin' rich, if he dropped a $100 bill, it would cost him more to stop and pick it up than to just keep on walking. That is how valuable his time is. I'm just gonna follow MJ around, wait for him to drop money. It's a weird side hustle and I might get arrested for stalking, but I'm down. But we all know that MJ is rich as hell. The thing that blows my mind is the number 2 richest player ever, literally no one talks about. I mean, I read his name and I had to go look him up. I had no clue who he was. When I looked at this top 10 list, apparently the key is what they do after basketball. I mean, NBA players make a ton of money, but that is not how you get on the top 10 list. MJ included. I mean, he makes $130 million a year just off of Air Jordans. That's as much as Kyrie makes his entire Nets contract. Take that, flat earther.
Everyone acts like they know everything. We know something, and there's no such thing as knowing. There's no knowing anything. Thank you, ergo, no, it's a flat earth.
So I want to count down the top 10 richest NBA players ever and talk about how they got so rich. And actually, 2 of these guys are really going to surprise you. So tied for 10th is both Dwayne Wade and Kevin Durant at a net worth of $170 million. Players make a lot of money on the court, but a lot of them spend it, right? And so D Wade has made $196 million on basketball. He makes $12 million a year from some shoe company called Li Ning, and his wife Gabrielle Union has a net worth of $40 million. KD has made $265 million on basketball, and he makes $26 million a year with Nike. Number 9 is Hakeem Olajuwon at $200 million, $100 million playing basketball. And then he had a shoe contract with Spalding, of all companies, but he left money on the table so that he could make his shoes affordable to low-income kids and middle-income kids, which I think is awesome. Now, Hakeem is super religious, and I think it's so cool that he's made the top 10 list, despite making choices like that would probably not be the best for his net worth, but he does it anyway. So, $10 million from a clothing line, $90 million in real estate. And that's like a huge way that guys make money. But he only makes like really safe real estate investments because according to his religion, he can't charge interest and he can't pay interest, which is crazy. But what's even crazier, and this is actually like really messed up and sad, is that he invested in the World Trade Center in 1998, which was 3 years before 9/11, and then he sold it 2 years later. So just before 9/11, Hakeem Olajuwon invested in the World Trade Center and then sold it. Crazy. Number 8 is David Robinson at a little over $200 million. He made $110 million playing basketball, and the rest is he started 2 private equity firms, and he donates 10% to charity. It's so crazy that these guys make the top 10 list despite like making charity a really important thing in their lives. And David Robinson actually, after he went through school at the Naval Academy, he went and served in the Navy instead of going to the NBA. He literally chopped off a couple of his earning years and made it harder for him to get to the prime earning years so that he could honor his naval commitment. So like, to me, it is awesome that guys who put other things ahead of their net worth still making the top 10 list. Number 7 is Grant Hill at $250 million. He made $140 million playing basketball, and the rest is from something called Hill Ventures, which is an investment firm in commercial real estate. And randomly, he's on the board of directors at Campbell's Soup. Like, how does that even happen, right? He actually has, like, the coolest life, right? All the soup he could want, rich as hell, and he is on TV just talking about the game. So I think, like, if anyone has done post-basketball right, it is Grant Hill. Tied at number 5, Vinnie Johnson and Shaq at $400 million. And that's right, Vinnie Johnson. What? Like, so random, right? He only made $6 million playing basketball. So this is the first guy who it's like you would not expect to be on this list. So this guy and the guy at number 2 that we'll get to, like, their basketball money is nothing compared to the net worth. It's almost like basketball was just something that they did early in their life because they were so good at it. And they took that little nest egg, huge by our standards, but from NBA standards to make $6 million is not that much. They took that little nest egg and like maximized it, right? It's the opposite of those tragic stories we hear about guys going broke with their money. Like, these guys did the exact opposite. They saved, and what he did was he invested and created Piston Group, which helps make cars, which is so crazy because he played for the Pistons and he was like inspired by the city. Shaq also is tied here, so $285 million for basketball, shoe contracts, commercials. But, and I didn't know this, he owns a ton of restaurants. 155 Five Guys, 40 24-hour fitnesses, 17 Aunt Annie's pretzels. If you've ever eaten at one of those, good chance like one of your dollars went into Shaq's pocket. 150 car washes, 9 Papa John's, and 1 Krispy Kreme. Gotta love it. Number 4, LeBron James at $500 million. $340 million he's made with basketball, but then he got a $1 billion lifetime contract from Nike. But with these shoe contracts, normally we break them down into how much they make per year. So if Nike gave him $1 billion for the rest of his life, I figure, okay, if he lives 60 more years, that would make him 96 years old. That's really, he's in really good shape, okay? If he lives 60 more years, that's $16.5 million per year for the rest of his life. He could literally do nothing else and make $16.5 million a year. He also made $30 million when he sold his stake in Beats headphones. $30 million, and he only had 1% of the company. Think about how, that's why Dr. Dre is a billionaire right now. Tied at number 2, here it is, Junior Bridgman and Magic each have $600 million. So let's talk about Bridgman first, because he is even more impressive than Vinnie Johnson, right? Only $4.2 million playing basketball. That's it. His top ever annual salary was in like the hundreds of thousands, which is like a minimum contract today. So the way he became the number 2 right behind Michael Jordan was he took some of that money before he retired and he bought a Wendy's. He bought a Wendy's fast food thing. And then he would work behind the counter in the off season, like while all of his teammates were off on vacation. And after he retired, he bought 1 more. And then every year after that, he bought 10 more Wendy's, 10 more Wendy's. Then he started buying 10 Chili's here, 10 Chili's there. And he would still work behind the counter. He would be making fries, like almost 7 feet tall or whatever. And people would be like, what? And they thought he was like some retired NBA player who was down on his luck just trying to make $1. In reality, he owned the place and like hundreds of others. And so in 2016, he sold them all back to Wendy's and Chili's, who bought them back for $530 million. Pretty cool. Magic only made $40 million playing basketball. The rest is through investments with Magic Johnson Enterprises. And so Magic Johnson Enterprises owns theaters, although I don't see those Magic Johnson theaters around anymore. I don't know if you guys do. But he also bought a stake in the Lakers and he bought a stake in the Dodgers, which he sold. But one of Magic's biggest investments is he bought in with Starbucks, like early on, before Starbucks really blew up. Super smart move. But number 1, of course, is Michael Jordan. But hold up. There's something that I did not expect to see. Originally, his net worth was $2.2 billion a year ago. But now it's $1.6 billion, which still has him on top of the top 10 list, but the pandemic really hit MJ hard. Like, he lost a ton of money. $600 million, which is the net worth of the number 2 guys, right? That's how much he lost. So he only made $90 million playing basketball. He gets $130 million a year from Nike, obviously, because of Air Jordan. And then the rest of it is from owning the Hornets, which have appreciated big time, and then also from a NASCAR team that he owns. No one knows exactly why MJ lost all that money, but this is a theory people have of why MJ lost $600 million during the pandemic. So his partner in the Hornets is a guy who owns a hedge fund. And it was one of those that took a huge hit with the GameStop controversy. So a bunch of people on Reddit saw that these rich Wall Street hedge funds were betting that GameStop would go bankrupt. So they bought GameStop and shot the stock way up, which almost bankrupt these hedge funds. One of those was MJ's partner in the Hornets. So this hedge fund needed like hundreds of millions of dollars in cash just to stay afloat, right? So the theory is MJ basically gave this dude like a bunch of money to keep the hedge fund afloat. That's insane. But so is this video about Shaq, because not a lot of people know this, but Shaq actually had his best game ever, 61 points. He's been telling the story about it for years, but it turns out, we just found out, he's been lying about that story.